Hello everybody. I just got back from the Jumbo trip, which was the biggest trip that the CLS Oman program does throughout our program this summer. It's 3 days and 2 nights, and it was really cool because we got to see all the different parts of Oman. So we started out by going to the mountains, to Jabal Akhdar, which is the tallest mountain in Oman, and then after that we went to the Sahara, which is the desert. We stayed there for the night, and then the next day we went to a place called Rais al-Had, which is on the coast near a city called Sur, and it's famous for the sea turtles that come and lay their eggs every night. So we actually got to see turtles laying their eggs, which is a really cool sight. So Jabal Akhdar, I was there a couple weeks ago. I went camping. I think I mentioned it in a previous blog. It was nice. It was cool to see a lot of the towns in that area. They're a lot more traditional, very Omani. It's very different from Muscat because Muscat's a very international city, and you'll see a lot of people from India, Pakistan, all over the world here. But and also those cities, those villages out in the mountains are a good place to practice your Arabic because everybody speaks it there. And I mentioned this before, but Omani Arabic, I'm really enjoying studying it right now because it's very close to what I've studied in school, so it's easy to get around from what I learned already from my previous 2 years of studying Arabic. Also, the weather in Jabal Akhdar was really nice compared to down in Muscat. It's around the 70s and 80s, and it was dry, so it was very pleasant compared to what we're used to here. After we were in the mountains for the morning, afternoon, and then we went to a restaurant on our way to the desert, a traditional Omani restaurant. I'm not sure if I talked about this before, but Omani's way of eating is very different from what we're used to in the States. First of all, everybody sits in a circle on the floor, and usually if you're in a household and if you're with people besides your family, so like if you bring guests into your house, you separate the males and the females. So the males have their own room and the females have their other room, men and the women. And so you sit in a circle on the floor, and the main meal basically is rice and then chicken or lehem, which is just red meat but not pork. I'm not sure if pork's red meat. I don't think so. And yeah, in Muslim countries they don't eat pork. It's part of their religion. And you eat with your hands. You don't use utensils. So you only eat with your right hand because your left hand, it's not considered. I'm not sure if it's a religious thing, but it's not considered appropriate at all because it's what you use to clean up after you go number 2. And so it's kind of weird when you're eating with your hand because like rice is not something I've ever eaten before with my hand. So you like grab a clump of it and you just kind of squeeze it together. And it gets kind of messy if you're not used to it, but it's an interesting experience. And it feels surprisingly natural. So after the restaurant, we went to the Sahara, which is the desert, and we got to spend the night there, which is really cool. It was camping technically because we were outside, but it was more like a hotel, just in tents, because they had these like big canvas tents with like actual beds in these tents, and it cooled off at night. It wasn't hot at all, so it was pleasant, and we got to see the sunset. We got to play around in the desert and jump around in the dunes. That was a lot of fun. And the stars in the desert were really cool. It's really cool because here there's not as much light pollution as there is in the States, or on the East Coast at least. And you can actually see the whole Milky Way go across the sky, which is a really neat sight. You see it's just thousands and thousands and thousands of stars, which I really like. You don't get to see that much of a cool night sky in Philly, so it's different. So after the desert, the next day before we left, we had the opportunity to ride camels. It was kind of expensive, so I didn't do it, but it was cool to see them up close, and I got to take some cool pictures of them, which I might post on this blog. And after the Sahara, we drove to a place called Rais al-Had, which is the place famous for the turtles, and there's actually like a museum there where you go and you pay to go out on the beach with a tour guide, and they'll guide you like in smaller groups to a sea turtle. They're huge. They're like probably like 3 feet across, 4 feet head to tail, and they're like laying their eggs. So we got to go up. Somebody should get that. Anyway, so we got to go up like behind the turtle and actually see the eggs falling into the hole that they dig, and they explain the whole process of it. The turtles that we saw there live up to 80 years, which is pretty cool. Then after that, we got to see like a baby turtle after it hatched swim to the ocean, and it was kind of cool because it was at night when we went to go see this, and they tend to follow light. So we learned that because of the city lights that are in the distance on the land side, sometimes the turtles will actually get attracted to that side and then die by going towards the mountains instead of the ocean, which is kind of sad, but what can you do? And then after that, we stayed at a resort that night, which was really cool. We got to go snorkeling at the resort. It was just like a bunch of little mini shacks, cabins on the water, and the water was very pleasant. In Muscat, the water here is really warm. It's like bath water, so it's almost slightly like uncomfortable. Just because it's hot weather, warm water, you don't want to go in. But at that place, it was cool water, so it was very refreshing. And then after that, we went to a place called Wadi Shab, and Wadi means valley in Arabic, but the wadis here are known as the areas where the water flows into once the rains come in the wet season. And we got to go back into this cave. I wish I could have brought this camera and done my vlog there, but my camera died, and also you had to swim to get there, so it would have been kind of hard to get the camera there without it getting wet. But we swam back into this cave area, and this is not like a popular tourist destination or anything by any means, which it should be because it's such a cool spot, but it was kind of neat because it was very unspoiled, like very out in the middle of nowhere. And you could go like climb up on like this rope thing and like jump from these really high rocks into deep, like really deep water. Like I couldn't even touch the bottom, and I like diving deep. And it was just really cool to explore back in there. We had a lot of fun. That was my favorite part of the trip, just because I love water and swimming. And then after that, we just came back to the hotel. We're back now. Everybody's kind of exhausted. We didn't get much sleep, but it was well worth it. What else? As far as classes go at the center, they're going well. I'm starting to pick up more in the media Arabic class, which is a relief because before it was kind of overwhelming when we're looking at articles. They're only like this long, but still it can be a little overwhelming. But now that we're starting to build up a vocabulary, and we're starting to learn like how to go about reading them strategically, so you can get the general gist out of what they say, and it's very satisfying to finally be able to start feeling like I'm getting somewhere, you know. And not much else to say, but I'm gonna post some pictures below this probably from this trip and other things I've done in the past couple weeks, so check them out. Ma salama.